Do you guys remember that one SPIDERSONA video I made a while ago and haven't really shut up about it since like 2023? Yeah, so do I. Here's the thing. To whoever might be listening to this video without watching it, I kinda need your attention real quick. Just for a little bit. Look at this. Look at this little stupid, silly looking guy. His name is Zion. Well, it's actually supposed to be pronounced Zion, but to be fair, I'm not a native English speaker, as you guys can probably tell. And when I named him, my brain kinda worked like, ooh, pretty name. Let's not think that it might actually be pronounced a whole different way than it would be in Spanish. And yeah, I made a whole introduction video with that name, just mispronouncing it, so it just stays like that. Anyway, he is Zion, or Zion. He had been on the work since the first Spiderverse movie came out. Although initially he was supposed to be a woman, I figured I wanted my OC to be a pretty boy. When I reworked him, Across the Spiderverse came out. I felt really inspired to really flesh him out and create a whole backstory for him. It started as just a funny thing to do in my spare time, but slowly became more and more serious to the point where he genuinely had a really detailed story and a personality, and, well, I fell in love with it. More like, I fell in love with his character. The thing is that, up until very recently, I was working on a webcomic, completely unrelated to Zion, and I was having lots of issues with it. Although I knew where I wanted to go with it, and I had designed all of the characters and their stories, I didn't feel quite as passionate about it as I felt about Zion. So I started making more Zion content, short form videos, lip syncs, comics, collabs with other artists, you name it. But there was one lingering issue: current social media trend culture. You see, when Across the Spiderverse came out and there was a lot of hype around Spidersonas, I was working on the Spidersona introduction animation, which took like whole 3 months of my life, which if you haven't watched, I recommend you do. But fortunately, by the time I posted it, it still got quite a bit of traction and people seemed to like it. I realized I should post more and make more content back then, but there was another small issue. I was moving away to literally the other side of the world, Japan, to study on an exchange program, which was initially going to be 6 months, but ended up being almost a year. I'll talk about that some other time. The point is, I didn't get to make any content because life got in the way, and by the time I had time to draw, animate, or write again, the hype had kind of died down. I mean, if you guys were on TikTok by then, I'm sure your For You page was also full of big man boobs Miguel O'Hara no matter how much you scrolled, which honestly was a blessing. Let's bring that back. And, well, now there's barely any Spiderverse content anywhere. This affected my chances at actually creating something out of my Spidersona. I remember a couple of really cool Spidersonas that got popular and they had their lore and that people were interested in, and I loved that. I wanted Zion to be as memorable, to be known and liked by people. But it's a lot harder to achieve something like that in a fandom that was dying down. And the more time that passed, the more I continued to fall in love with the character I was creating, to develop his personality a lot more and to even give him more of a backstory. But the main issue remained. He was just another Spidersona. He wasn't something 100% original or that I could call completely my creation. So I started thinking about maybe creating something else around him. And so came the idea of maybe working on his own fan comic. But, the idea of doing that didn't quite sit well with me yet. Because at the end of the day, nothing could have come out of it, considering that Spider-Man is literally owned by Marvel. Or Sony? I'm not quite sure. I think it's Sony, actually. By that time, my friend also made her own Sona and I loved it. I mean, look at her. Isn't she so cool? We wanted to collaborate and make our babies interact, so we did so, and things got a bit too real a bit too quickly. Soon, we both realized that we kinda shipped them and we wanted to get more out of them. So we decided to continue working on them as characters, and then we would figure out what to do with them. And then, one day, I got an idea. idea that I'm not going to get into right now because I feel like that needs its own videos for explaining the 14 pages of lore I wrote. But I'm pleased to announce that Zion's story is no longer a Spider-Man story. He gets to be his own man now, and honestly, I'm loving the universe I'm building for him. And not only that, but my friend is also partaking in the creation of the story, so her character will have her own lore, but it will interact in the same universe and timeline as Zion. So it will be like our own little cinematic universe of sorts. I still don't know if I want this to be a comic or a book or a web series. I mean, for now I've only worked on world building and Zion's design, but I'm honestly really excited over it. And well, as you can see, this is his design for now. I might work on it a little bit more and make a couple more iterations, but well, I wanted to keep his original color palette and his vibe, but he has a lot more details related to his backstory and his current life now. Maybe once I have everything a bit more fleshed out, I'll share more about his story with you all. I don't expect to get much out of it, and who knows, maybe my friend could join us too and explain a bit about her own character and how she interacts in the universe with Zion and with the world. For now, I just gotta say I'm really happy with how things are looking for him as a character, and I will continue working on him. Thank you all for watching and supporting my little art corner here, especially when times are so tough for artists right now. I hope one day we can make something big out of all this, and you all will have the privilege of being the first ones to partake in this universe. Until then, thank you all for watching, have a nice rest of your day or night, and see you next time. I also kind of want to apologize because I know that my English pronunciation isn't the best, and sometimes I don't pronounce words clearly enough, and I feel like every time I re-listen to my videos, I realize that I said something completely different to what I wanted to say, but I'm working on it, so just be patient.